So we're going to first start by stating your name.
My name is Rudy Wright. Go Bears.
The next question is your relationship to the Zahra Baker Playground.
I was involved in getting Kiwanis Club to become the funding mechanism for the park, that all donations would go through the Kiwanis Club. And then I was also involved in fundraising for the park.
How long have you been associated with the park?
I think from the first moment the idea was incepted.
And what gave you the inspiration to come up with this idea?
Well, I believe that children should have an absolute right to grow up in a safe and intellectually stimulating environment that creates a positive outlook on life. And I was appalled that that adults let Zahra Baker down. And some monuments, memorials to Zahra were going up, but I didn't feel that they were of the type and quality to reflect how deeply the citizens of Hickory in this area felt about Zahra and her plight.
Are there things about the history of the playground that you would consider significant for us today?
Well, I think it's significant to know that the generous people of this area responded overwhelmingly, and what started out as a $75,000 budget became a $125,000 budget, eventually a $200,000 budget, and we have $20,000 or $25,000 left over that we're going to use to build a treehouse, a wheelchair accessible treehouse.
Why would you consider this park important to the city of Hickory?
Well, it was part of healing our collective psyche a little bit. Zahra Baker did not live here very long, but that tragic incident happened here in Hickory. And it happened, for example, it happened about 8 blocks from my house. And people felt that very deeply. I think that would be the main factor there.
What experiences have you had that makes this place significant to you?
Well, when I was a child, I had rheumatic fever twice. And at that time, I was treated like an invalid. I was not mistreated in any way, but treated like an invalid. And so I knew a little bit about the pain, the psychological pain of being an invalid as a child. You certainly would not think of me as ever having been an invalid, but I missed 2 years of school. And it helped, in some ways it shaped who I am, so that's a different story. But the fact that my heart just went out to her, that in the middle of her suffering, that people were mistreating her. And she had overcome her problem only to be mistreated and murdered. So I have, there was a personal note in that.
How often do you visit the park?
I have not visited it just to say, I have visited it to see if it's being used, and I'm always pleasantly surprised with the amount of use. I have visited to see if disabled children are using it, and I've been pleasantly surprised. I have visited to take my granddaughter there, and she was thrilled with it. We call it the All Children's Playground because no one realizes it's intended to facilitate play by handicapped, disabled children, except them. The only hint that I can think of is that the swing that would be tempting for someone to abuse, not in a mean sense, but just in the sense of kids being kids, that has to be locked and accessed with approval. It is a very integrated playground with a lot of diverse individuals, and that is important to me.
What do you see for the future of the playground?
Well, I think it will continue to inspire us. I think people will go to that playground, and I think occasionally there will be people who reflect and say, I know of a situation that might involve abuse that I ought to get the right people involved in. There might be someone who visits it and says, I am abusing and I need to quit abusing. I think we're going to continue to add amenities to that playground. We have in the works new restrooms for the convenience of people visiting, and of course the tree house will be put in place next year.
So do you feel when people visit the playground, do you feel that they become aware of her story and the situation that happened to Zahra?
No, and that was not intended. That's sort of a macabre kind of story, and we think people will understand this was done for a special young girl, a young girl who, despite her setbacks, had become a very normal, active, tomboyish kind of person. And but it was not intended to tell that story. You will only, if you go to that playground, you will not know the story. You'll just know it's dedicated to a special young girl.
Do you think that when they visit, because they know her, do you think they'll remember her more because of that?
I hope so. I hope they will remember her, remember the spirit that she showed, and again, inspire everyone to try to do more to stop abuse of children.
Do you know any interesting facts or stories about the Zahra Baker Playground?
No. There are a couple of things that are kind of interesting. They laughed at me as we were going through this process because I kept saying we need to set our goals higher, we need to set our goals higher. And there's a man in this city that I respect and admire about as much as anyone that I have ever been around. His name is Charles Dixon. He's an attorney. And he kept telling them, said, listen to Rudy. Listen to Rudy. Don't set that goal lower than you think you can get. Set it higher. So we kept setting the bar higher. And this is kind of a funny story that I said, there's somebody out there who is watching this project and is going to step forward, and I think I used the number $25,000. I know we were at 175, and we were shooting for the new goal was 200. And we got a call from a man named Jim Shuford, and said his daughter resembled Zahra Baker, and he and his wife and family wanted to give $25,000 to the playground. So that got us over 200. So I was right.
Why is this place important to you?
I think what I mentioned, it is a it's a fitting memorial to a young lady who deserved better. And I think this sort of epitomizes the people of Hickory. You know, we're kind of people that we take care of our own, and we expect everyone to do the same thing, and we try to help each other, and we are appalled by tragedies like this. So it epitomizes Hickory. We're a place, we don't stand for child abuse. We have, I'm going to move this. The light is getting, the sun is getting severe. Now that's perfect. And I don't know where I was. What was I saying right there?
That Hickory doesn't stand for child abuse, and that we all stood together, and that it epitomizes Hickory, the building of the playground.
Yeah, I think that's good. That's good.
Would you consider the playground to be sacred?
You know, I've never thought of that kind of a definition for it. I think it is powerful for people to go there and reflect on why it was done and the great people of Hickory who made it happen. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly the context in which I view the word sacred, but it is a very inspiring place. We deliberately didn't tell any story about her. Her picture's there, and we I think the message we have is, Zahra, you touched us. Is that right? And that says it. That says it. It touched us, and this playground shows that it touched us. And we don't want anything like that to ever happen again in Hickory.
Can you tell us a little bit about the whole process of building the playground and how it started?
Well, it was just, we started with the idea, and then things just happened. For example, my recollection is I thought about a playground that we would honor Zahra with, and then somehow I learned about a playground for all children, which is not a lot of communities have a playground for all children, but there are more than you would think. And so we found one in Bristol, Tennessee, and we went to Bristol, Tennessee, and we saw that, and we said, well, that's exactly exactly what we need to honor Zahra's memory. And so then we start with $75,000, and then we learn that there's a company that gives grants, a company called Kaboom, that gives grants for playgrounds if you have a good story. So we applied for that. Then they get involved in helping. They have certain standards for the playground. But it just one thing led to another. So we ended up with a playground that is, it's for all children. It has some spectacular features as playgrounds go. And it is up to a very high standard that is set nationally through Kaboom and its suppliers. And so we're very proud of it. It is state-of-the-art kind of playground at this time.
What's your favorite part about the playground?
The accessibility of certain of the features to children who for the first time are able to be involved in playground activities with siblings and friends and classmates. Particularly that swing, and then the device that I don't know how to describe it exactly. It's that great big thing that you could pull a wheelchair up to and hold on to, and then you push and pull back and forth, and all children can use at the same time without any limitation due to a disability.
Do you know anything about, there was word of a Zahra Baker scholarship?
You know, that's within the Kiwanis Club. You'd have to talk to someone else about that. I think that would be great. And of course, I would be very supportive of that. At the same time, we can't, you could look at all of the ways that we could honor Zahra Baker's memory. The playground, scholarships, donations to child abuse organizations, donations to, and in fact, there was some of that incorporated in this whole fundraising effort, or donations to children's hospitals. The playground seemed to be the thing that most appealed to the people of this area and around the world. We have donations. We had donations from around the world.
Were you at the ribbon cutting ceremony for the dedication?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, we had several ceremonies. We had a groundbreaking and a ribbon cutting. I'm not sure whether there were any others. At the groundbreaking, we involved among others, we involved a Down syndrome child. At the ribbon cutting, it was mainly kids. We stood back and watched them go. And we were very proud that the little girl who resembled Zahra and whose family made the $25,000 contribution, we were proud that that little girl actually cut the ribbon. Hey, it brings tears.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a good story. These are good people in Hickory.
Is there any last comments you want to make about the playground or anything in general?
Well, I'm flattered that you all have chosen it as one of your sacred places. And it is a very special place and will always be for the people of Hickory. And I'll admit, I don't fully understand the context of sacred place.
Thank you.